Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very special edition of Talking Wrestling TXN. This is Michael Flecha alongside Anthony Florio, and we are going to recap tonight's NXT Stand and Deliver, the biggest show of the year for NXT. And we were live from St. Louis, Missouri. And well, here we go, guys. What you've been waiting for. This was from the factory at the district in Chesterfield, Missouri, which was a suburb of St. Louis. And here we go. The results. We started off with the NXT women's title on the line, a triple threat, as it was Lola Vice, Kendall Gray, and the reigning champion herself, JC Jane, putting the title on the line. Winner of the bout, 16 minutes and 15 seconds, and new NXT Women's Champion, Lola Vice, wins the title. History made, unprecedented crowning in a 3.5 star match to 3 3/4. Excellent, excellent work by all the women in this individual matchup. There was a little bit of there was a couple of down moments, not a lot, but there was a down or two moment. But all in all, an excellent wrestling match, exactly what it needed it to be. We knew how great Kendall was. We knew how great Lola was on Tuesday night, and we knew they had to take it to a next level. They got there for the most part, but it wasn't all the way there. I still feel like the match on Tuesday was better than this. However, it was a great matchup to say the very least. The action was hard hitting. There was a really good psychology and story that was being told. However, at the end of the night, this was Lola's moment. She grabs the brass ring, takes the moment, and now and new is what we got. Yes, I did go for Kendall. Anthony went with Kendall. We felt like this was her moment. She was due. We thought that they were going to strap the rocket on her back and shoot her to the moon. Not yet. She's getting there, but Lola came first. Lola's been itching for the title. She's been one of the hardest working to get to where she's at. And I kind of felt like maybe they were going to not give her the belt because of her commitment to Triple A. Remember, she's one half of the win of the mixed tag team champions with Mr. Iguana. But they decided this was the time, this was the moment. Let's give the belt to Lola. I'm not mad. I'm happy Lola won the title because I love the baby girl. I think she's amazing. And yes, I was harking for her for a little while now. And you can say I may have somewhat abandoned shipped on her. Saw Kendall and was like, whoa, she's just as good. I remember Lola always was the first, and Florio will attest to it, that I was definitely on Team Lola well before the rest of the guys jumped on the bandwagon. So nothing more to say. 3.5 to 3 3/4. Anthony, it's an and new. Lola Vice wins the title here tonight. It's Stand and Deliver.
Well, I'll tell you, MF, they did a great job pacing the match, so it felt like they were working quickly but still taking the time to sell. All three superstars brought their best to the ring for this match, but Kendall Gray was the standout. Even with no disqualifications, it was nice to see the women at ringside staying out of the majority of the action, so the three in the ring could shine. Ren Sinclair chased Fallon Henley and Laney Reed out of the arena, so JC Jane's backup disappeared. They did a great job making it hard to tell who would win, but in the end, it was Lola Vice who nailed JC Jane with her spinning back fist to get the pin and win the women's championship. This was an outstanding start to the show. I think you partially underscored this a little bit, MF. I'm actually going to pull the trigger and give this 4 stars. This was an incredible jump off. And Kendall Gray had some great creative counters in this match. She is very smooth in the ring. And you mentioned Mr. Iguana, MF. I think this was a perfect excuse to get him on the show by having him in Lola's corner. They could have done that, but for some odd reason, WWE decided not to. The clothesline JC hit on Kendall looked nasty. The only criticism that I have, and it's not even about the match, YouTube. The screen kept going black toward the end of the match, but the audio never cut out.
We had a wardrobe malfunction. That's
Yep.
why the picture went black.
That's okay.
Apparently,
I can understand.
it was because of JC Jane, is what I'm
Yeah.
hearing.
Yeah.
It's coming out of dirt sheet. JC had a wardrobe malfunction. That's why the screen went black.
That I can certainly understand that. So I take back what I said on that. But that's definitely worth noticing. So but nonetheless, with all of the recent praise for Kendall Gray, including Dave Meltzer saying that she is the best women's wrestler in wrestling today. I mean, I thought based on all the high praise and the body of work, I thought this was going to be Kendall's moment. But in a way, Lola was due to win the championship. I mean, she had come so close a few times, and well, tonight was finally her night, and now Lola Vice is a double champion, one half of the AAA mixed tag team champions with Mr. Iguana, and now the NXT Women's Champion. Later in the night, she had a congratulations. She was congratulated by General Manager Robert Stone, and Mr. Stone is giving some TV time this Tuesday night on NXT for Lola to take her victory lap as the new NXT Women's Champion, and I'm sure we're gonna have I'm sure we're gonna have something to say about it Tuesday night on Ridiculously Raw. So, but nonetheless, there were a lot of people who wanted Kendall to win. I'll be honest, I wanted Kendall to win too. I thought that she had her moment, especially after coming so close at New Year's Evil in January. But no, this was Lola's moment. I'm not mad at it either. She was one of the best women's wrestlers to never win the NXT Women's Championship, and tonight was finally her night. Congratulations to Lola Vice, well deserved. And we'll see what happens Tuesday night when she takes her well-deserved victory lap at the CWC. So we'll see how that goes. So for me, 4 stars, great jump off, a very deserving champion in Lola Vice. Congratulations. And nothing more, Kendall Gray. I agree. Kendall will get her moment soon enough. Maybe later this year, maybe next year. I don't know. But soon enough, Kendall will get her moment, but not tonight. 4 stars, MF. Let's move on to our next match.
Next matchup on the fight was for the NXT Tag Team Championships. The champions, the Vanity Project, putting the titles on the line against Los Americanos. Winner of the bout in 13 minutes and 27 seconds. And still the NXT Tag Team Champions, the Vanity Project. Anthony, it's yours.
3.5 stars for this. No surprise with the outcome. Vanity Project was coming off a loss to Los Americanos in a 6-man match a few weeks ago. So they were looking to even the score while also retaining the titles. El Grande Americano in the corner of Rayo and Bravo, and Jackson Drake, of course, in the corner of Swipe Right, Brad Baylor, and Ricky Smokes, the tag team champions. Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes are young, hungry, and looking to make an impression. And Rayo and Bravo are both gifted wrestlers with years of experience. It did not take them very long to find their groove and work well as opponents. The match may have been entertaining, but there were moments when it felt like it could have been so much better if they dropped the comedy stuff and tried to wrestle the best possible match. And just in case anyone is still not aware, Rayo and Bravo are Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. It seems like they have been having a lot of fun with this gimmick. The spot with Ricky Smokes being dragged into the ring post by both legs is something we used to see in a lot of matches but it seems to have been dialed down in recent years. Baylor's suplex neckbreaker looked good. Bravo suplexing both opponents at the same time. And the moment when El Grande Americano took out Jackson Drake at ringside was great. Solid 3.5 stars, teetering on 3 3/4, but I'm leaning more towards 3.5 for this one. Not much more. MF, swipe right. Baylor and Smoke, still the champs.
Yeah, I'm good with it too. I thought it was a solid matchup. I think it could have been a little, could have been more better if they did away with the campy comedy. Yes, but I'm not going to be too mad about it. It was a 3-star bout. Solid matchups to say the very least. So we move on. Next up we had was, this was one of the marquee matchups. Sol Ruca versus Zarya. Winner of the bout in 13 minutes and 7 seconds was Sol Ruca. He wins it. Now, I'm going to say this. It wasn't the perfect match. I mean, at the end of the day, I wish, like we said, I had a feeling Sol was going to win this. I kind of had a feeling Sol was going to win it, even though I know a lot of people are starting to turn on Sol Ruca here. I think they're really starting to feel like, Zarya is a bigger name. Zarya is the bigger star. Remember, she was part of that big three when they originally came to NXT. And you remember what the big three were. Zarya, Julia, and Stephanie Booker. Those were the big three coming into the company that was supposed to be the catalyst to the future for WWE. And Stephanie has been by far the most successful, but Julia has also made some moments in her career. But Zarya has not had that signature moment just yet. And I think a lot of people felt like this should have been the moment. Zarya losing to Sol, does that set her back? I don't know. Sol kind of is possibly main roster bound, though. That's why I kind of feel like, let's see how it plays out. But maybe they're thinking maybe Sol possibly could be next in line for the women's title. Maybe that's the one thing they haven't done with Sol Ruca yet. I don't know. But whatever the case may be, we'll wait and see. This was easily, I want to say, at least 3 stars, 3.5. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, Matt, you had this one. You called it when we previewed this last night. Credit where credit is due to you. All right. Hang on one second here. Okay. I'll tell you what. Solid, fun encounter that will almost certainly not be the end of their story. And credit where credit is due to the Sol Ruca for winning this match. Small part of me kind of had a feeling she was going to win this, but I kind of thought this was Zarya's time to finally get that big moment. There was a lot of pressure on them to make the payoff worth the wait, and I think they did. And it was a fun encounter. Like I said, that will almost certainly, the feud must continue. There is no question about it. The entrance video for Zarya is terrific. Her presentation is much more suited to being a heel. And Sol Ruca's Hurricanrana looked really good. And the failed suplex out of the ring looked painful for both women. That was a scary spot. But solid 3.5 stars for this. A little surprised about the outcome. I thought this was going to be Zarya's moment. But no, Sol Ruca gets the big win here, and this Tuesday night on NXT, Sol Ruca goes 1-on-1 with Izzy Dame, so that should be a good matchup there. So we'll see if Sol can keep her momentum going. Who knows? Maybe she could be a possible first challenger for Lola and the women's title. Have to think about that. So 3.5 stars. With that being said, MF, let's move on.
Next up we had was the North American title on the line. Miles Bourne, the newly crowned champion, puts the title on the line against Johnny Gargano. Winner of the bout in 14 minutes and 35 seconds was Miles Bourne. He successfully defended the title, but right away, it looks like we have a new challenger. Dion Lennox laid out the champ when it was all said and done. Oof. Anthony Florio, it's yours.
3 3/4, teetering on 4 stars for this. In many ways, this was a test for Miles Bourne. Johnny Gargano is one of the best talents to ever pass through NXT. So having him challenge Miles Bourne was a chance for the champion to prove he can hang with someone on Johnny Wrestling's level. In the end, Miles Bourne prevailed to retain the title in a highly enjoyable bout. The crowd did not look too excited about the outcome. However, it was the right decision in the long term. Dion Lennox attacking Miles from behind with a steel chair after Johnny had left the ring. He slammed the champ onto the chair and left him lying in the ring. So it looks like we now know who will be the next challenger for Miles Bourne in the North American Championship. It's definitely going to looks like to be Dion Lennox here. And I can't say this enough. It is so unfortunate that WWE is not doing anything with Candice LeRae. She is so much better than what she is being given. The sunset flip powerbomb from Johnny Gargano was great. Miles Bourne bumped hard for it. And the crowd was definitely in favor of Johnny Gargano winning the title. Miles Bourne was even being booed at times. And we definitely know some reasons as to why. I'm not going to say, but I think we know one of the reasons
We
why.
know. Yeah, we know.
On a personal front. But anyways, 3 3/4, teetering on 4 stars. Excellent matchup. And it's like Johnny never left NXT. I mean, anytime Johnny Gargano was in an NXT match, it didn't matter who he was in there with. It was almost always a show stealer match. Not quite, but it was darn close. I will say that. So 3 3/4, almost 4 for this one. No surprise with the outcome. So MF, Miles Bourne, still the North American champion. Dion Lennox waiting in the weeds.
Yeah. Like you said, 3.5 to 3 3/4. Great matchup, no doubt about it. Incredible action all the way through. Yeah, I agree with everything, even your sentiment about why they are not pushing. Why on earth are they not pushing Candace? I totally agree with that narrative as well, Anthony. You're absolutely right on that. There's a lot to be desired on that. We'll see how that plays out, but all in all, yeah, this was a solid matchup. You could even say up to the point, the fight of the night, up to that point. Next up we had was the NXT Women's North American title on the line, as it was the champion Tatum Paxley versus Blake Monroe. And it is Tatum Paxley, still champion, 13 minutes, 21 seconds. Another solid bout. Again, good ring psychology, good, nice ring story. And at the end of the day, the champion remains the champion. Solid matchup to say the very least. I am not mad with the outcome, and I'm actually very happy that this was the outcome. I feel like Tatum definitely deserves a run at the title. She kind of got a short end the first time around. And I do believe Blake, even though she lost, I still feel like she could easily get herself back into title contention, either with the main title or the North American. She definitely can get another shot at it. We can see how that plays out down the line. But it was at least a 3 to 3.5 star bout. Anthony Florio, it is yours.
Yeah. We've seen this story many of times before, where we had a build for a title match where the challenger steals and takes hostage the champion's title belt. We have seen this many times. We call this the possession is 9/10 of the law story, and we had it in this case with Blake Monroe when she stole Tatum Paxley's North American Championship. And 9 times out of 10, when we have a situation like this, the champion wins the match and retains the title and gets the belt back from for that. So but anyways, getting into this, the way this match was built would have been better if it had led to some kind of hardcore match between these two, because the physicality here did not line up with the animosity these two are supposed to have for each other. It got better as the bout progressed, but it felt like they never quite reached the level of intensity they needed to hit. They came close at the end, though. I'll give this a solid 3.5 stars for the effort. The submission Tatum Paxley used early in the match was awesome, and the bump that Tatum took on the ramp looked rough. She did a great job selling it. Solid 3.5 stars. No surprise with the outcome. Tatum definitely deserves the moment after she got pressed for time with the women's championship, a title reign that only lasted 24 days. But I think they're finally going to give her the proper run that she should have had before. So, good for Tatum. Definitely deserves it, and we'll see what happens. So, solid 3.5. MF, I do believe it's main event time.
It is indeed the main event. The title is on the line. The NXT Championship. The champion, Joe Hendry. And it's a fatal four-way, 3 other opponents he had to deal with it. And those men were Tony D'Angelo, Ricky Saint, and All Ego Ethan Page. When it's all said and done, the winner of the bout, 16 minutes and 2 seconds, and new NXT champion, Tony D'Angelo. Mission accomplished. The first mission was to destroy Dark State. It looks like that has happened. The second was to win the title. He has now done it. He is the new NXT champion, Anthony Florio. It is all yours.
Wow. No better event than their biggest of the year, Stand and Deliver. No better event for Tony D'Angelo to finally get his moment as the NXT champion. And it is indeed mission accomplished. The other 3 men, I believe, soon enough are headed to the main roster. I think all 3 of them are due, and can't wait to see how they all progress. But for right now, Tony D'Angelo was one of my best wrestlers to never win the NXT championship. He's done it now. The best wrestler to never win it was Javon Evans. I still to this day don't know why they could have given him at least one run with it, but story for another day. But at least Tony D's finally got his moment. Well deserved. You heard the crowd. You deserve it. And I'm sure he's probably gonna get a victory lap on Tuesday night on NXT. All right. Let's break it all down here. Bear with me for a moment. Okay. Tony D and Joe Hendry, they took out Ricky Saints and Ethan Page before squaring off. They traded shots until the other 2 opponents got back into the ring to keep fighting. Ricky Saints and Ethan Page, as I expected, I had a feeling this was going to happen. They had an uneasy alliance that allowed them to control the pace for a bit. But as soon as one of them had to try to get the win, they had issues. The talents of all 4 men are well known, so it's not surprising that they worked together to put on an entertaining main event. Joe Hendry retaining, it seemed like the obvious choice. So ending with a title change was a genuine surprise. Everyone did good work here, but Tony D definitely stood out the most. This was one of his best performances in a long time because he was pulling out moves you wouldn't expect to see from him. And now at long last, Tony D, he hit a double block. His double blockbuster was awesome, and nothing more to say except that long last, Tony D'Angelo, and he is now a Triple Crown champion. He was a tag team champion, he was a North American champion, and now he is the NXT champion. Well deserved, and he couldn't have picked a better night to do it than their biggest night of the year, Stand and Deliver, when they stood alone and did not have to share the stage with WrestleMania, unlike years past. So that makes it even more sweeter for Tony D. And you think of everything that Tony D has been through in over the last several months. You know, the D'Angelo family falling apart. You know, Stacks turning his back on him. Luca Crucifino, who knows where he's been? We haven't seen or heard from him for the longest time. Same can be said for Adriana Rizzo.
Well, Adriana Rizzo is rehabbing right now. She suffered I think she tore her ACL.
Oh
So
yeah,
if you've been watching her on social media, she's been showing a lot
yeah.
of
Red
re
Sauce rants. Her Red
re
Sauce rants
yeah,
on Twitter.
and she's been doing a lot of rehabbing and a lot of things. So I'm assuming probably by the summer or the fall we'll see Rizzo. But as far as Luca goes, yeah, I have no idea what's going on with Luca Crucifino. No idea.
But Stacks is doing very good for himself. He's got the Knockouts champion on his arm, so that's a good thing. And of course Birthright. They're off to a bit of a rocky start, but maybe as time progresses, maybe they'll start to get better and some things will start to go their way. But they're a work in progress. We'll say it like that. But it's not about them. It's about Tony D'Angelo losing his family, and then it started. He had a vision. He wanted to take out Dark State. He did just that. And now tonight, the biggest this will as at the moment this is his biggest win. This will be the biggest win of Tony D's career, unless years from now or any time from now he has a bigger one. But this night belonged to Tony D. His big moment, long overdue. Congratulations, Tony D'Angelo. Well deserved. New NXT champion. I can only imagine what his victory lap is going to be like on Tuesday night. So, nothing more to say. Another solid 4 stars, teetering on 4.25. Great main event. Great outcome. I am not mad at all about it. The other 3 guys, like I said, I think they're main roster bound soon enough. So, not much more. MF, Tony D'Angelo, the new NXT champion. Hit us with those magic words one more time, Monsoon.
Yes, indeed. It was indeed history being made, an unprecedented crowning, and Tony D deserves the moment. This was at least 3.5 to 4. An incredible main event. Great action all the way through. And again, the right man wins. Yeah, there's really nothing more to add on this one. Overall, a very good stand and deliver. 8 to 8.5 is my rating for the entire show. There was really not one bad match the whole night. Everything was solid to good to great. Uh, Everything had ample time. It had moments to breathe. It had, every match was well over 10 minutes. And that's something that you don't necessarily get a lot. Everything felt very good. It didn't feel rushed. It felt like a solid PLE event. And this is the model of NXT that we've known and loved for a number of years. I think we can say to the very least. So yeah, really nothing more to add. Anthony, 8 to 8.5. And what says you?
Right there with you. 8 to 8.5 out of 10. NXT Stand and Deliver was an entertaining show from top to bottom. WWE has been on shaky ground recently, especially the controversy of last night. But this event was a solid outing from the developmental brand. The men's and women's NXT championship matches ended up being the best things we saw all night, which was a good indication that the right people are at the top of the card. The fact that both titles change hands also helped add some buzz to the show. Lola Vice and Tony D'Angelo both received warm receptions from the St. Louis crowd following their title victories. At a time when WWE programming is very hit or miss, it was nice to have an event that kept the energy high from start to finish. So Shawn Michaels and company and Michael Bullock, take a bow. You definitely put together one hell of a show here tonight. Now, if only you can do that every week, every Tuesday night on NXT.
Yeah.
Then we got some.
That's the biggest criticism. It reminds me of, and I know we don't talk about it, but we need to talk about it. It's like AEW. It's
Yes.
exactly like AEW.
Mm-hmm.
AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision.
Ugh.
9 times out of 10, crap shows. Not
Right.
really good. Not worth our time. That's why the
Boring.
band's been placed. The only time that maybe we can break away from that is when we talk about the pay-per-views. Because
Mm.
every time their pay-per-view absolutely hits.
Yep.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. But this past Tuesday they put on a banger of a show. But then again, theater, Madison Square Garden. Hello.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
That's the only
anytime
reason
they
it was
go to
gonna
New
be.
York, anytime they do anything in the Garden, it's always a banger. So,
Absolutely. So,
yeah.
but they're back home now. I mean, they're on a high right now. I mean, they put together 2 great shows. Great show Tuesday night in the theater in the Garden. A banger of a show tonight at the Factory in St. Louis. We're back at the CWC on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
I really, really hope I'm wrong when I say this. And you know I don't like to be wrong about anything. But this
You
is
feel
one
like this
time
is
I'm
going to be
hoping
back
I'm
to
wrong.
reality. You got a
Back to
feeling this is
reality.
going to be back to reality. Yeah.
You got
And I get
it.
it. I totally agree with that. I think so. And the
I
thing
pray to
is
God
that
I'm
you
wrong on
don't think, you hope not. But then again, traditionally, has there ever been a time where something really goes crazy after, because remember, this Stand and Deliver coming up, this Tuesday, it's kind of like their after WrestleMania event. You would think
that.
maybe they would do something with this, but I kind of got a bad feeling they won't.
Yeah, they
So,
probably won't, but you nailed it. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope I am. Please don't let it be a back to reality show. Please,
well, we'll see.
where it's boring and unnecessary filler,
Yeah,
and
we'll see.
2 minute matches. No, we don't want that.
Yeah.
We don't want that. No 2 minute matches. No revolving door segments. None of that
Yeah.
stuff.
Well,
Tonight was great.
yeah.
And
Oh,
now that
tonight
you
was
now that you
excellent.
got the universal praise NXT, we don't expect anything less. We do not impress easy. Neither of us do.
Mm.
So Tuesday, you better come guns blazing. No more back to reality nonsense. Guns blazing. That's what we want to see.
We
Wrap
hope
it up.
so. We'll
Wrap
see.
it up.
All
Eight,
right.
8.5.
All right, we're out of here. Tuesday night, another edition of Ridiculously Raw, aforementioned, where we will have Monday Night Raw as we are getting closer and closer to WrestleMania. And then, of course, that Tuesday episode of NXT that we've been alluding to, this is the fallout. Like I said, this is kind of the traditional night after Mania, but this is not actually the first show after Stand and Deliver. What are they going to do for us on that one? And I do believe, Anthony, you also mentioned that there's also a TNA event coming up. Do you want to preview it then?
Well, it's next Saturday night. TNA presents Rebellion, and it's not a TNA Plus event. It's a pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view? Yep.
Big Four in Cleveland. So
We'll preview it then.
if you want to do it on Tuesday night, we
Yeah,
certainly
we'll do it
can.
Tuesday night.
But then again, let's not forget, we still have an Impact show on Thursday, and the card might not be fully clear. You never know. So
All right.
maybe we could hold it off till Friday, maybe.
Possible. We'll see. We'll see.
Because the card could be still, there could be
Finalized
some
by then.
matches not even announced yet, and we'll see.
Yeah.
I got to look at the card first. So
Okay. So with that said, we'll wait and see. We may pull it.
what time on Tuesday?
Huh?
What time on Tuesday?
10:30.
Good for me.
All right. 10:30 Tuesday night. And then on Thursday, I believe we're going to have that we should be getting close. Obviously, we're going to recap the Final Four, and we're going to and we got the UFL. I do believe I want to say we're getting closer and closer to the playoffs as well. So I think I don't know.
That's in 2 weeks. They start
In 2 weeks. All right. So it's going to be basically the men's and women's Final Four recaps. We're also going to recap, and then also the UFL as well. Preview that, And then that should be it for that. So light docket on Thursday. And then Friday, again, Cerebral Smack Talk, Impact, and SmackDown Live. So with that said, and we're actually going to have that preview for that big pay-per-view as well. So yeah, that's it. Really nothing more to add. For Anthony Florio and Michael Flecha, have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you all on Tuesday.
Goodbye.